Hey guys, today I wanted to tell you all the books that I've read in 2024. If you have any recommendations for books that I should read in 2025, please leave comments below. So I do want to say that this year I read only like 4 or 5 books. I'm trying to read more books in 2025 and in general. I've always loved reading, always been a big bookworm. I've been relying heavily on TikTok these days for information and learning things, but I'm trying to move more into reading. The first book that I picked up in 2024 was 78 Degrees of Wisdom, A Tarot Journey to Self-Awareness. So I was looking to find a book that could help me understand tarot better. Last year I dove more into tarot cards, and I just wanted to find something that would help me or serve as a guide through that journey. And I saw on TikTok people mention this book a few times. It's by Pollack, and this is a very information dense book. So I'm still getting through it. I'm like more than halfway through, and it's been over a year, but basically she talks about the history of tarot, the order of the tarot cards, different kinds of tarot cards, and then goes through each and every one. And I still have yet to get to the part where she talks about how to do actual readings, because I'm very strict when it comes to reading books. Like, I have to start it from the first page to the last. Like, I don't skip ahead. So this is something that I would like to finish, but it's a very interesting book. It definitely will give you perspectives that you wouldn't come up with on your own. So if you're interested in tarot card reading and you're new to it, I would definitely suggest this book, but I would take notes while you're reading this book. I got this from my local library and I still have to return it, so I want to finish this soon in 2025 so I can finally return it and say that I read it. But yeah, this was the first book that I started, and I'm counting it on my list because I wanted to talk about it. I think it's a really interesting book. I'm not gonna rate the 78 Degrees of Wisdom just because I never finished it, but I will say so far out of 10, I would definitely give it like an 8.5 for sure. The second book that I read in 2024 was 100 Years is War on Palestine by Rashid Khalidi. So this book is just, if you wanted to get clarity on the situation that's happening on the other side of the world, this is an imperative book to read. It is so full of information, and if you were confused about what's going on over there, after reading this book you will have complete and total clarity. I think it's a must read for every American to read, just because we're not really taught the history of what's happening. So this is absolutely like a book that just completely opened my eyes. The author is Palestinian. His family was displaced during the Nakba of 1948, and he's a historian. He was a professor at Columbia, I believe. It's just a really important book to read. It debunks a lot of things that we hear, and in this age of like media always being biased, I completely rely on books to learn about history and relate it to what's going on today. So I gave that book an 8.5 out of 10. Again, also very information dense book. I highlighted the pages all the way through. I wrote notes in the book. I lent it to my neighbor, so I have to get that back from him. It's been like a year, but I wanted to lend it out because I think it's so important that people read this book and really absorb the knowledge that's given in that book. The next book that I read that I gave away recently is called Evil Eye by Etaf Rum. She is a Palestinian author, and it's a fiction book, and it's really just like a good story that intertwines family trauma, ancestral trauma, and just like the experience of being a woman and marriage issues and issues of being seen and heard. I really liked the book. I thought it was a breezy read. That was the first time I was reading something from Etaf Rum. She's written A Man Is No Woman. So from what I understood from reviews that I read about that book, Evil Eye, is that A Man Is No Woman is slightly better, the writing. I would say Evil Eye is like a really easy read to get through. And yeah, I gave that book, let's see, what did I rate that book? I gave Evil Eye a 7.5 out of 10. Just because I really valued the story. I'm not sure I'm crazy about her writing style, but the story I thought was really important. So the next book that I read that I have on my person is The Witch in Every Woman. So this book is by Laurie Cabot, and so I didn't know who Laurie Cabot was until like 5 months ago. Again, I saw on TikTok somebody talking about her. She's like a well-known and renowned witch based out of Salem, Massachusetts. And basically this book is just talking about like the history of witches and like the stigma that they faced and why there's certain ideas and perspectives about witches, and she kind of debunks that. And then she also provides throughout the book little rituals that you can do with yourself to connect to your power. And I'm just gonna read like a few quotes that I've highlighted from this book because I really did enjoy this book. When a woman adorns herself, she should understand that she is revering the witch within by enhancing the goddess and taking pride in her own female prowess. So there she's kind of touching on glamour magic. And the next thing I highlighted was, the more women become involved in the goddess tradition, the happier they are with their voluptuous bodies. She gives different exercises throughout the book. And she calls them witches legend exercises. So she'll share like a witch story or like a figure from like witch tradition, and then give us an exercise to help like connect with the story that they provide. Another quote is, when you learn to identify and connect with energies and aspects of yourself that you didn't even think you possessed, and apply the concept of creating balance to your life, you will release the witch within you as I have. So it's just like a very comforting book, very validating for any woman that's intuitive or they feel connected to nature or feels witchy themselves. Like, this book really breaks down how normal it is to feel that way. And for me personally, it was very validating, this book. And it also just like, I feel like for women in our society, a lot of things we do is fear-based. And a lot of things about our identity as women is around fear. Like, she talks about the fear of aging in this book. She talks about the fear of like being too fat or like not having an ideal body, and how everything that we're kind of programmed to believe about ourselves as women is just completely based in like this fear of your inner witch, like other energies scared of like the witch energy. And just how witches have been oppressed like for years and years and years. It's so ancient. It goes back to the Bible, like Eve eating from the apple on the tree. So this just really breaks down traditional witch ideals in a way that really makes sense for me. She touches on religion, the patriarchal structure of religion. Yeah, I gave this book, what did I give this book? I didn't read this book, but I would give this book definitely an 8 out of 10. For me to give a book like a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, it has to really blow me away. This book definitely impacted me, and I recommend this to any woman that you don't have to necessarily identify as a witch. A religious woman, a Christian woman could read this, a Jewish woman could read this, a Muslim woman could read this, and all find things in here and nuggets of information that is important that they can take away to help themselves in their everyday lives and keep an open mind. It's very cool. I love this book, and I love Laurie Cabot. I got her book Love Magic as well, which I have been like skipping through because it's a lot of spells, but yeah, really love this author. So the last book that I read of 2024 was Memoirs of a Geisha. So that's kind of like a throwback. Memoirs of a Geisha was popular in the early 2000s. I think that's when it came out. I really liked that book. I liked it because it really takes you away. Like, when you're reading a book and you're so submerged in the plot, it takes you away, and it's very descriptive, and you feel like you're right there in the book with the main character. Also touches a lot on like complex issues with being a woman, what it means to be a woman, and what it meant to be a geisha in Japanese culture. I will say as a forewarning that like some people have critiqued this book for not being historically accurate or for like fetishizing being a geisha. I can see how that I can see how that could be a problem. I am not well versed myself in Japanese or geisha culture, but I would say read this book with an open mind, knowing that it's fiction, and take it upon yourself after the fact to educate yourself on geisha culture, and also read the critiques of the book, just so that you're aware. Regardless though, I really did enjoy this book. I've also seen the movie before I read the book, and I enjoyed that as well, so I think it's possible to enjoy things while also knowing the criticisms of them. So the good and the bad and the bad and the good. Yeah. So those were the books I read of 2024. I know this is a short video, but I just wanted to share that. I haven't been on my page that much, so in 2025 I did promise myself that I would make more videos. I want to connect more with my followers or my subscribers or people who are watching my videos. Yeah, and reading is really important to me, and I hope this year I can read double or triple of what I read last year. So yeah, if you guys have any recommendations of books that I should read or your own personal opinions on any of the books that I've mentioned, please mention below in the comments. I'd love to get some recommendations or hear your thoughts on these books if you've read them yourself. Without further ado, thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed, and give it a thumbs up if you liked it or a thumbs down if you didn't like it. Alright, I'll see you guys soon. Bye!